One of the things that we hear very often is that Russia is advancing on the battlefield at a very high human cost in Ukraine. But we rarely actually see the mechanics of how that works. We analyzed more than 6,000 official complaints from soldiers and their loved ones. What they reveal is a violent Russian military apparatus that is willing to abuse its own men to keep up the fight in Ukraine. One major theme in more than 450 complaints is soldiers who are saying they are being sent into battle despite severe injuries or illnesses. One of the videos attached to a complaint shows men walking around on crutches as they are allegedly being sent into battle. We managed to contact 2 people who said they saw their relatives in the video, and both of those soldiers have gone missing. We also found significant evidence of commanders abusing their own soldiers, holding them in inhumane conditions, beating them. In some of the complaints, the extrajudicial punishment borders on torture. What we're seeing here is a video of 2 soldiers who have been handcuffed to trees, which is actually a common theme across a lot of the cases. The complaints were collected and handed to the New York Times by an exiled Russian media outlet. We confirmed the overall authenticity of the trove by contacting hundreds of the complainants. The Times is withholding the names and identifying details of most of the soldiers and their loved ones described in the files, except in cases where they've agreed to release their names.
Они исчезли, как будто их с лица земли стерли.
There's a practice within the Russian military that has become so common it has its own name, obnullение, which means to zero out or nullify a soldier. And it's a term for a commander killing his own soldiers for the purposes of punishment, whether executing them directly on the battlefield or sending them into missions that are often going to lead to death. The term itself appears in dozens of documents. One of the most harrowing complaints is one submitted jointly by 10 different people about a single unit, where they allege that more than 300 soldiers were deliberately killed by their commanders. We spoke to one of the mothers who participated in the complaint. Her 18-year-old son was pressured into signing a contract to go to the front. During the mission, he sent his mother a video. He told her that on the order of his commanders, he collected about $15,000 of bribes from his fellow soldiers to avoid going on the next sure-death assault. But then he found out that he was being sent on the assault himself.
Поступил приказ обнулить меня. Поэтому, если не выйду на связь, не буду выходить на связь день-2, можно выпускать это видео в ход.
She didn't hear from him, and she did release the video.
Он говорит, тело может мы не найти.
One of the things that comes across in these complaints is a sense of impunity around this zeroing out practice. Commanders could simply say that they sent soldiers on a dangerous mission and they died anyway, and no one would know whether they were deliberately killed. We contacted the Russian authorities about the complaints, but we didn't get any answers. When you're reading all of the complaints, I think you get a sense that the violence within the system and the fear that Russian soldiers have is how the Russian military is keeping up this advance on the battlefield in Ukraine that's coming at such a high human cost.